From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang in review. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday led the nation's commemoration of the 125th anniversary of the First Philippine Republic at the historic Baraswain Church in Malolos City, Bulacan Province. This year's celebration forms part of a series of activities on the 125th anniversary of the Philippine Independence and Nationhood 2023 to 2026, which honors the events leading up to the country's independence from 1898 to 1901. According to the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, or NHCP, the First Philippine Republic was established after the adoption of the Malolos Constitution of 1899, which replaced the revolutionary government created by President Emilio Aguinaldo in 1898. This was considered Asia's first democratic republic that served as an inspiration for other Asian republics. Let's listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
We are gathered here today where the cornerstone of our republic was first laid, where our journey to nationhood was catapulted forward by the unstoppable will of our people to be free. We draw strength from what has transpired on these hallowed grounds 125 years ago. The same force drives us today to attain the vision that was set forth by our founding fathers. Under challenging times, in a changing world with complex problems, the history made here continues to inspire us to overcome the obstacles that stand in the way of our nation's march to progress. The architects of Asia's First Republic chose this church to unfurl before the world our blueprint for a nation, with a complete plan designed to shelter people under a canopy of rights wide enough to host diverse ideas and strong enough to protect lives, freedom, and property. They enshrine democracy's vibrancy and virtues in the Constitution as they wrote a Bill of Rights, an elected legislature, an independent judiciary, which today are hailed as some of civilization's greatest achievements. In these halls, the new nation is made, and its debut before the world unveiled a democratic order based on the rule of law. To a world skeptical of a former colony's capacity for self-rule, the Malolos Republic erased all doubts. To the Filipinos who liberated their own selves by blood but were doubtful that the promises of a revolution could be redeemed, the Malolos Republic raised their hopes once again for a brighter tomorrow. We continue to live in the infrastructure of the state that they had envisioned. The rent we pay, so to speak, is what is expected of us as stewards of that legacy, making our economy sound, our democracy stable, our future secure, and our nation strong. So today, as beneficiaries of their heroism, we pledge to continue to pay those dues. For that is the only way that we can honor those who founded this republic, those who fought for its ideals, and those who fell in the war. And the fight continues up to this day. Because while the great cause of freedom endures, it still faces threats, some shocking, some subtle, but all met with the same resolve. To those who trample our sacred shores, the spirit of Malolos commands us to resist you, for the territory our forefathers fought for is unconquerable. But the wars we fight today involve no armies to be crushed or trenches to be overwhelmed. They require no bloodletting, no rushing of barricades. They are harder to vanquish, and they exact a toll of hunger, poverty, and disease that claim more lives than any armed conflict. Their defeat requires the new weapons of the day, forged by patriots, to be wielded against enemies neither take no prisoners nor cede any ground. We have been waging a war against hunger with farms as battlefields, because a republic that does not feed its people will be consumed by their anger. We have been building better and more hospitals and schools, for our democracy can only be healthy and informed if we are free from sickness and ignorance. We have been bringing water and energy to every home, for freedom cannot bloom when people are parched and their homes remain dark. We have been working for the higher income and better jobs to emancipate our people from the bondage of poverty. For a republic is impoverished if only a few are enriched. The fruit of democracy tastes bitter to those who cannot partake. We have been striving for equal treatment before the law, for rich and the poor alike, and for the speedy dispensation of justice. After all, if justice can be bought or delayed, so too can freedom. We have been cleaning and lighting our streets to free our people from fear, for crime and disorder do not only affect life, liberty, and economy, they paralyze our people, shred our social fabric, and prevent the pursuit of happiness. We continue to be unrelenting in securing peace from all quarters, for freedom cannot thrive in chaos. It cannot exist with those who preach intolerance or seek tyranny. Most importantly, we have been working to forge a national unity based on ideals larger than ourselves, for a cause higher than we are. A divided republic can never prosper. When fractured into tribes, cliques, and factions, its attention is divided by the petty, and its energy is distracted away from the grand dreams we have for our nation. These cracks were present when the Malolos Republic was born. Nonetheless, these fissures did not prevent our cohesion into a republic. But on the contrary, it fueled the imperative that our fragmented island shall rise as a united nation. This remains the vision with which we are guiding our nation today. Bagamat mahigit isang siglo na ang nakaraan, isinasa buhay natin taon-taon ang diwa na ang kabayanihang ipinamalas na sa atin ng ating linlahay. Higit pa sa mga pagsariwa ng kanilang kadakilaan at mga sakripisyo, binibigyang buhay natin sa ating puso at mga gawa ang kagitingan, katapatan at pagmamahal sa bayan. Ngunit hindi maikakaila na patuloy pa rin ang laban ng bayan sa banta ng sakit, ng kahirapan, kalamidad at iba pang uri ng mga panganib. Kaya naman, makakaasa kayong magiging karamay ninyo ang pamahalaan sa pagharap sa mga pagsubok na ito. Patuloy kaming nagsisikap na pangangalagaan ang ating mga kababayan mula sa iba't ibang uri ng katawilian, pang-aabuso, kawalan ng katarungan. Ang bagong mukha po ng pamahalaan sa ilalim ng bagong Pilipinas ay may mga matang mula sa mga suliranin. May mga taimtim na nakikinig na hinaing ng sambayanan. May boses na handang magtanggol sa naaapi at hinggit sa lahat, may pusong naglilingkod para sa mas maginhawang buhay ng bawat Pilipino. Bawat isa sa atin ay may tuturing na bayani ng ating makabagong panahon. Tayo ang tagapangalaga ng ating henerasyon. Kagaya ng mga haligi ng Republika ng Malolos, paigtingin natin lalo ang pag-ibig sa bayan upang maisulong natin ang isang mapagpalaya, mas maunlad at tunay na maginhawang bagong Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang mga Pilipino. Mabuhay ang ating Republika.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday led the official launch of the Lung Center of the Philippines, or LCP, and National Kidney and Transplant Institute Lung Transport Program, or NKTI. The lung transplant program is a significant milestone in improving healthcare services in the country, as it will provide access to life-saving treatments for lung transplant patients. LCP and NKTI were both established through presidential decrees in 1981, signed by President Ferdinand E. Marcos Sr. They serve as specialized medical centers to address specific health concerns in the Filipino population. Let's listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Today we celebrate the collaboration of two hospitals, which more than neighbors are partners in battling diseases that inflict pain on our people and on their pockets as well. They also share one significant trait, and that is courage, in full display when COVID-19 was on a rampage. The trenches, where frontliners in white coats made their defiant stand, run through these two hospitals. You saved many, many, many lives. If there is one postcard of grit which captured your stubborn resistance, it was that of the Lung Center personnel, fashioning PPEs out of garbage bags in the very beginning when we could not get enough of these PPEs, when the influx of patients overran all our supplies, as we were unprepared for such a plague that to befall our country. And when I saw that picture captioned with a call, "Laban lang," ito yata ang fighting slogan nyo, "Laban lang." I found myself catching my breath, what breath I could catch, because I was suffering from COVID myself and was still trying to recover. It was unfortunate because it's the first time in my life that I go to the doctor and I ask them what's happening to me, and the doctors would tell me, "We are not quite sure." And the next question, of course, is how do I get better? And the answer also is, well, we'll try everything, but we're not quite sure yet. Of course, we have grown. It has improved greatly since then. And that is something, then that is why the Lung Center, having been a long-time asthma and allergy sufferer, has been something that I can understand and sympathize with very, very closely. Nais namin ipaabot ang aming taus-pusong pasasalamat dahil sa inyong katapangan. Your gallant acts do not fade with time. Then gratitude has no expiry date either. In LCP and NKTI, these words ring true. Never was so much owed by so many to so few. While the pandemic is over, the diseases which prompted the establishment of the LCP still remain, and in increasing numbers. It is evident in the country's top 10 tally of morbidity or leading causes of sickness, wherein pulmonary-related ailments occupied numbers 1, 5, 7, and 9 in 2022. As to leading causes of death, pulmonary-related diseases took up the 6th, 7th, and 10th slot in the same year. These are more than numbers, because behind them is an immeasurable amount of people whose lives have been degraded, whose dreams have been shattered by disease that bankrupt a family as well as the patient. The partnership between LCP and NKTI can be a template in which hospitals pool their resources and share assets to boost patient care and improve bottom lines. The launch of the LCP and NKTI lung transplant program is an application of the proven maxim that two heads, two hospitals, are better than one. This creates the infrastructure for lung transplants in the country, with the first one to be done within 2024. I wish you Godspeed in this endeavor. I know you will succeed because you are torchbearers of the tradition of bold and brave initiatives upon which medicine has advanced and diseases have retreated. It is the same grand vision which prompted the establishment of the LCP and the NKTI and the Heart Center during an era when great things were not only dreamed of, but developed. Build Better More is of the same ethos, which should animate us today to march forward instead of just running in place. We should stop being content with the piecemeal or belittle big dreams as too ambitious, too difficult, but instead embrace the audacious if we want to leave a better world than we found it. We will begin by learning from the rich trove of lessons that the pandemic has left us. Through the Doctors to the Barrios program, we are training doctors because their development is critical to the realization of universal health care. Through the Regional Specialty Centers Act, we have established 131 functional specialty centers nationwide, 9 of which are designated as lung specialty centers to bring lung care closer to our people. By 2028, we aim to establish an additional 179 specialty centers, 7 of which are dedicated as lung care centers. Through an expanded nursing education program that CHED and DOH is implementing, we are addressing the current shortage of this essential health workforce while ensuring their future supply. All of these support what the LCP-NKTI lung transplant program seeks to achieve: to provide competent, committed, and compassionate care to our people. So in closing, let us remember that healthcare is our covenant with the people, a public commitment driven by neither political agenda nor personal legacy projects. In this hospital where heroes walked and worked, may this program be a testament to our unwavering duty to serve the Filipinos. I cannot forget my father's advice to me, and he said the first service that government must provide to its people is healthcare. And because no matter how successful a society is, no matter how wealthy a person is, that wealth and that success they cannot enjoy if they're not enjoying a good health. Again, congratulations to the LCP and NKTI. Mabuhay kayong lahat. Maraming salamat sa inyong serbisyo. Maraming salamat sa inyong sakripisyo at ang patuloy ninyong trabaho para alagaan ang taong bayan ng Pilipinas.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday said that his administration will not lift a finger to help the International Criminal Court or ICC in any of its investigations. The president made the statement following former Senator Antonio Trillanes IV's pronouncement that ICC investigators have allegedly visited the country in December last year and was able to gather enough information and evidence to file cases against former President Rodrigo Duterte and other personalities involved in the previous administration's war on illegal drugs. In a media interview in Quezon City, President Marcos Jr. said ICC inquisitors may come to the country as regular tourists, but the Philippine government will not help them. President Marcos said the government is monitoring the ICC's movement to make sure they would not come into contact with any government agency. The chief executive added that he had instructed all government offices, including law enforcement agencies and local government units or LGUs, to not cooperate with the ICC in case they try to contact them.
I do not recognize the jurisdiction of ICC in the Philippines. I consider it as a threat to our sovereignty. Therefore, the Philippine government will not lift a finger to help any investigation that the ICC conducts. However, As ordinary people, they can come and visit the Philippines.
In July last year, President Marcos said the Philippine government would no longer get in touch with the ICC after it rejected its plea to suspend its investigation into Duterte's anti-narcotics campaign. The Philippines formally cut ties with the ICC on March 17, 2019.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday said he leaves it up to the Commission on Elections or COMELEC to verify the signatures that was collected under the People's Initiative campaign that aimed to change the 1987 Constitution. The President made the statement following reports that those soliciting the public signature promised them of various government assistance in exchange for their signature. In a media interview at the Lung Center of the Philippines in Quezon City, President Marcos Jr. said that if the signature was paid for, then the COMELEC will not accept it, and from what he knows, cash was not involved but promises of benefits. The chief executive added that if the government assistance were entangled in the controversy, the government will not stop its distribution, especially there are people who needed help. In the end, President Marcos said that the COMELEC has the final say. Earlier, COMELEC chairperson George Erwin Garcia said around 900 cities and municipalities have so far submitted signature pages. Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva on Monday said a people's initiative is considered legal unless there is a form of abuse or bribery in pushing for it. On January 10th, Senator Amy Marcos filed Senate Resolution number 902 seeking to investigate, in aid of legislation, the alleged payoffs and misrepresentations in the signature campaigns. Senator Marcos also claimed that around 20 million pesos was being offered for each district to buy voters' signatures needed to push for charter change.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday recalled his recent encounter with British rock band Coldplay at the Philippine Arena in Bocaue, Bulacan Province, saying the concert is unmissable. The president made the statement after he drew flack from the public of using the presidential helicopter along with First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos to attend the January 19th concert. In a media interview in Quezon City, President Marcos Jr. expressed amusement over Coldplay's spectacular performance. The Presidential Security Group, or PSG, on Saturday sought the public's understanding, saying that the traffic situation in the area posed a potential threat to the security of the president. PSG Commander Major General Nelson Morales said the decision to let the chief executive take the helicopter was meant to ensure the president's safety and security in the face of unexpected challenges. Coldplay's Philippine stop on January 19th and the 20th was part of the Southeast Asian leg of the Music of the Spheres World Tour. The four-man band is currently in Singapore as part of its Asian leg until the 31st of January and will proceed to Bangkok, Thailand to hold concerts on the 3rd and 4th of February.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Tuesday said that the country is strictly adhering to the One China policy and not promoting Taiwan's independence. The president made this clarification following China's reaction over his congratulatory message to Taiwan President-elect Lai Ching-te. In a television interview, President Marcos said that his congratulatory message is common courtesy, as Taiwan also congratulated him when he assumed office. The chief executive added that the One China policy remains in place and the Philippines adhere to it strictly and conscientiously since its adoption. President Marcos Jr. said that this has not and will not change, adding that the Philippines does not endorse Taiwan's independence. The Philippine president said that Taiwan is a province of China and it is an internal matter if they choose to divide or make both countries as one.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Presidential Communications Office, or PCO, on Tuesday invited the public to participate in the Bagong Pilipinas, or New Philippines Kickoff Rally, to be held at the Carino Grandstand in Manila this coming Sunday, January 28th. In a Facebook post, the PCO invited the Filipino people to be part of the change for the people, the community, and the nation. In a statement, PCO Secretary Cheloy Garfield said, "The kickoff rally will start at 6 in the evening and is expected to be graced by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr." Secretary Garfield said a number of artists will perform at the rally starting 3 in the afternoon and will be attended by various government officials, celebrities, and other personalities. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, or MMDA, encouraged those that will be participating in the event to take alternate routes to avoid inconvenience, as Rizal Park and all roads leading to the venue will most likely be congested. Meanwhile, the MMDA also issued a traffic advisory as major roads will be closed to traffic. These include Rojas Boulevard from United Nations Avenue to P. Burgos Avenue, including Calao Avenue, P. Burgos Avenue, Finance Road, Orosa Street, and Bonifacio Drive. The MMDA said over 900 traffic personnel, road emergency group, sidewalk clearing operations, among others, will be deployed to assist motorists. Besides this, ambulances, tow trucks, mobile patrol units, motorcycle units, and flood mitigation equipment will be placed at designated areas for any unforeseen incidents. Garfield said the kickoff rally will also be live streamed. In July last year, Malacañang issued a memorandum ordering the adoption of the administration's Bagong Pilipinas brand of governance and leadership campaign, which calls for a deep and fundamental transformation in all sectors of society and government and fosters the government's commitment towards the attainment of comprehensive policy reforms and full economic recovery.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Wednesday lauded the para-athletes who won medals in the 4th Asian Para Games in China, saying that they inspired every Filipino and the nation for their feat. During the awarding in Malacañang of incentives to the medalists of the 4th Asian Para Games, the president said to the athletes to continue breaking barriers and make sports a unifying force in the country. Let's listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
I am here today before you not just as your president, but as a fan. Because when it comes to supporting athletes who compete under our flag, I am the cheerleader-in-chief, self-appointed. It is just fitting that we are honoring our nation's para-athletes here in the Heroes Hall, for this is what best describes what you are, and who you are. Speaking of heroes and halls in Malacañang, most buildings here sport generic names, and only one, the biggest, honors an individual, Apolinario Mabini. Mabini, who after losing the use of his legs, used his brilliant mind to rally the people to rise up, to fight and chase the freedom that we so well deserve. Ganon din po kayo. You do not let your disability discourage you from doing what you wanted, nor did it deter you from achieving your dreams. To say that para-athletes are of a different breed and made of harder stuff is an understatement. Most athletes push themselves to meet the Olympic standards of being faster, stronger. Para-athletes have to unchain themselves from even stronger restraints so you can soar higher, hurdle bigger obstacles so you can run faster, crush more powerful burdens that weigh you down so that you are, in fact, stronger. It is with tremendous pride that I congratulate the para-athletes who all gave your best at the 4th Asian Para Games in Hangzhou, China last October. You have brought home a rich haul of 19 medals and bringing us to 9th place in a highly competitive field of 44 countries. You have done that by showing your country the image of what a dauntless Filipino should be. You have projected that adversity can be overcome, impairment can harness inspiration, and barriers can be bridges to triumphs. Kung kaya nyo, kaya ng lahat ng Pilipino. Kung kaya ng Philippine Para-Athletic National Team, kaya ng Pilipinas, kaya ng bagong Pilipinas. You are the poster boys and girls for surmounting the odds. It is only fitting that apart from the thanks of a grateful nation, we also present you with incentives to help you along. At alam naman natin, napakaraming pangangailangan kapag tayo'y lumalaban sa pag tayo'y lumalaban dito sa mga international sports competition. So, as we hand these to you, remember that these are not merely monetary tokens. They are symbols of the love of your countrymen and their admiration for all the sacrifices that you have made for your country and for your countrymen. I will be remiss if I do not congratulate your fellow winners, your coaches, your parents, the loved ones who are here with us today. They deserve to proudly stand on the podium with you. Also, for being by your side and sharing the agony of setbacks and the thrill of triumph that you have now brought to the Philippines. Kaya naman po, ako'y natutuwa na itinina ng Philippine Sports Commission ang ika-34 na anibersaryo ng inyong pagkakatatag sa paggawad ng mga pabuya sa ating mga bayaning atleta. If your mandate is to promote sports that are inclusive, then it must include a sector that is fighting for inclusivity. If your mission is to mainstream sports in all aspects of national life, then it begins by bringing into the fold those who are seen to be in the margins. For nearly 3.5 decades, the Commission has done and fulfilled that duty. The fruits of their labor should not be reflected on scoreboards and medals won alone. Engaging your performance, the medals won by the few come second to how sports are enjoyed and played by the masses. The overall objective is to promote sports down to the grassroots, not to merely create a talent farm for national teams, but to use sports for nation building. A good sports program goes beyond trophy collecting. It should harness our collective strengths to realize the common good. So we must train, we must fund and nurture our national sporting elite that is able to compete with the world's best so they can bring us pride and glory and inspiration. We can do that together with mass sports that build a robust national spirit that serves a common goal. Sports prepares us for the citizenship duties that we must perform. Sports spurs us on to strive not for easy goals, but for the hard ones. Sports teaches us not to fear our failures, but rather to savor and to learn from them. They push us to pursue our impossible dreams. It is this way that we are taught to work together, energized towards a common goal. Sports is unity applied in real life. It brings together our very best traits, that of passion, of endurance, and persistence, and amidst very great diversity. These are values which any Filipino may embody, regardless of their circumstances. These are the values upon which the foundations of our nation are anchored. Fighting words alone do not make sports bloom, neither do they create champions. This requires ample facilities across the country for athletes of all sports, of all ages, in all classes. We are boosting support for our athletes, their coaches, and their families. We are building athletic infrastructure from gyms, athletic ovals, even safe sidewalks. Kasi nga, di ba, pag medyo mataas ang kolesterol mo, ang reseta ng doktor ay 10 milligrams of statin and 10,000 steps a day. May butika sa gamot, pero walang tindahan ng sidewalk kung saan ka pwede maglakad. This brings me to another of sports' great value to us as a wellness tool that makes our people healthy, kasama na rin dyan ang ating mental health. So now I call on the PSC, as well as every sports association and community in the country, to continue breaking barriers, challenging stereotypes, building a nation where sports serve as an inclusive and unifying force. In so doing, we can look forward to a new Philippines, bagong Pilipinas, that is bound by the ideals of industry, integrity, and teamwork, and committed to the pursuit of greatness and excellence. And you fall into a very special category, because beyond the glory that you bring to our country, you continue to inspire the nation. You continue to inspire every single Filipino. Kung kaya nila na magkamedalya, kung kaya nila sa kanilang kondisyon, ay nagagawa nila ito, siguro naman, tayo mga pangkaraniwan na Pilipino, ay mas lalo pa natin kaya. And that's what inspires all Filipinos to see again our countrymen overcome the difficulties that you have been born with, but nonetheless have overcome those difficulties to bring glory not only to yourselves, not only to your families, but to our country. And that is the greatest achievement of all, as far as I am concerned.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has extended the consolidation deadline for public utility vehicles, or PUVs, until April 30th. Presidential Communications Office, or PCO Secretary Cheloy Garafil said the President extended the deadline upon the recommendation of Department of Transportation, or DOTR Secretary Jaime Bautista. In a statement, Secretary Garafil said that the extension is to give an opportunity to those who expressed intention to consolidate but did not make the previous cutoff. Early December last year, President Marcos rejected calls to extend the December 31st deadline for the consolidation of PUV operators and drivers. The Land Transportation, Franchising, and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB, reported that 145,721 units, or 76% of PUVs and Utility Vehicle, or UV Express, have consolidated. PUVs that failed to consolidate under cooperatives on December 31st, 2023, and those plying routes with no cooperatives can operate until January 31st, 2024 only. Unconsolidated jeepneys in routes with at least 60% of units that consolidated would no longer be able to renew their provisional authorities to operate. Under the government's PUV Modernization Program, or PUVMP, operators and drivers will be organized into cooperatives or corporations to ensure the efficiency of its operations with an upgraded fleet of low-carbon emission, safe, and efficient PUV units. Meanwhile, House Speaker Martin Romualdez welcomed President Marcos Jr.'s decision, stressing that the chief executive is not blind nor deaf to the sentiments and concerns of the people. Speaker Romualdez said the president recognizes the issue's impact on the local transportation sector and that it comes at a crucial time when the community navigates challenges in the transport industry. The decision of President Marcos came after Romualdez and other House leaders met leaders of transport groups and transport officials led by LTFRB Board Chairman Chofilo Guadis III. The House Committee on Transportation has adopted a resolution urging President Marcos to reconsider the lapsed December 31 consolidation deadline. During its motu proprio hearing Wednesday, the panel approved the resolution calling for an extension of the consolidation period until the government can come up with a concrete plan to address the major issues in the program's implementation.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday paid his highest respect to the gallantry and bravery of 44 members of the Philippine National Police or PNP Special Action Force or SAF in Silang, Cavite Province. The Day of National Remembrance for the heroic sacrifice of SAF 44 took place at the PNP Academy or PNPA, wherein the Commander-in-Chief and PNP officials remember the heroism of the SAF 44 through a wreath laying at the monument of the fallen heroes. With this year's theme, Valiant Men with Unparalleled Devotion to God, Country, and People, a Blessing to a Victorious Nation, the National Day of Remembrance is pursuant to Presidential Proclamation No. 164 declaring the 25th of January every year as a day to honor and remember the sacrifices of the SAF 44 members. The occasion also serves as an unyielding tribute to recognize the good deeds and acts of all uniformed personnel in the line of duty. Let's listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
9 years ago, 44 brave men died without seeing the dawn of peace bloom on the land their blood made hallow. Today we remember their heroism and honor the sacrifice that they have made. It is a debt that we will never be able to fully pay, no matter how we try it with deeds to prove that they have not died in vain. It remains an obligation that we will never extinguish, no matter how often we give meaning to their valor. So how do we pay homage to these brave men, whose gallantry no memorial can fully capture, whose courage no words can fully extol? It is by working tirelessly to realize their dreams for their families, for their children, for their comrades, for the people. It is now up to us who live, who benefited from their full measure of devotion to duty, to build a kinder and gentler society, wherein those they have left behind can live in peace and prosperity. That is the mission that they have left us to pursue when they did not return from their last patrol. In their last hours, in that place of honor, we can draw many important lessons. The lessons such as to put nation before self, to display courage under fire, to resolve to forge ahead, to never give up. We would also be disrespecting their memory if we give quarter to those who terrorize our people. We would be devaluing their valor if we cede our territory to those who would trespass upon it. Although fighting machines they were not apostles of permanent war. They were warriors for peace who wanted to see the day when swords were pounded into plowshares. Let us work towards that day. To the loved ones of these heroes, we know that 9 years after that fateful day, no words can fully ease the pain that I know you still feel. I can only hope that you can find comfort knowing that a grateful nation, still nursing a wound in their hearts, feels deeply and as much. To the comrades in arms of the brave 44 who wear the insignia of the departed, honor their memory by never letting down the flag that they fought for. Be worthy stewards of their devotion to duty, their fidelity to the oath, and their love of country. Be the patriots and professionals who are driven by the same fearlessness and fortitude that the SAF 44 had shown. My countrymen, the defiant stand of the brave 44 still echoes today. It is a clarion call for unity and action against any challenge that we might face. Let our reverence for these men be always accompanied by a deeper reflection, so we too can summon the fight in ourselves to build a better future for our nation. Huwag natin pababayaan ang kapayapaan na kanilang ipinaglaban. Sa pagpupugay sa SAF 44, patuloy tayong magsisikap tungo sa isang bagong Pilipinas. Mabuhay ang ating mga bayaning Pilipino. Mabuhay ang SAF 44. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Thursday affirmed his commitment and called for collective support for the Department of Education or DepEd's agenda. During the Basic Education Report or BER 2024 at the Sofitel Philippine Plaza in Pasay City, the President expressed his gratitude to Vice President Sara Duterte for her leadership in managing the educational sector, particularly in addressing the challenges posed by the pandemic, curriculum retooling, and systematic reforms. President Marcos Jr. introduced the new K-10 curriculum, which is currently in its pilot phase across various regions. The chief executive emphasized the need for more classrooms, laboratories, and schools built to withstand natural disasters. Let's listen to the speech of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Today we are here for the annual ritual that millions of our school children undergo to read our school report card. That is how education is improved, whether it is for one individual or for an entire race. To take stock of where we are, to find feats worth celebrating, identify flaws that we need to correct. It's not just learners in classrooms who must be graded. It is also the educational system that we must assess as well. In fact, we should hold ourselves to a higher standard than those that we set for our children. We should give ourselves assignments harder than what we ask our learners to submit. We must subject ourselves to tougher diagnostic tools so we can use the results to make lesson plans that will help us meet our greatest obligation to our youth, to our people, to mold them into critical thinkers, into problem solvers, brave visionaries, and to ensure that they wield the skills that will allow them to succeed in the future. I'm happy to note that this report, the Basic Education Report, is candid, clear, comprehensive, and I think you will agree, quite compelling. So certainly the milestones achieved so far deserve our congratulations. Daghang salamat, Vice President Inday Sara. Your stewardship for the biggest agency with the largest constituency and, I would say, the most difficult mandate. Against this backdrop, our tasks that complicate our mission to recoup losses from the pandemic, retool the curriculum, and reform the system. It is not easy to reboot a system with millions of moving parts that are all closely interconnected, in which the failure of just a single part leads to the entire ecosystem failing. But as your report has shown, the building blocks of a modern, responsive educational system have now been laid. It is something we have waited for many, many, many years. At this juncture in our transformational journey, my instruction is simply this: padayon, padayon, padayon. We are decongesting the curriculum with a focus on the development of foundational skills. I am happy that the DepEd is piloting a new K-10 curriculum in 35 schools across the region. As in any government project design, the way forward is to prototype in order to validate what was written in the presentation in the PowerPoint. This administration continues to support these remedial initiatives like learning camps to ensure no one is left behind. Maganda rin ang Catch-up Friday. And amidst the rising sea of novel educational theories, one has stood the test of time. Nasa pagbabasa ang pag-asa. Nasa pagbibilang ang magandang kinabukasan. Reading and numeracy. The classic 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Not only are they the starting blocks in the journey of knowledge, they also set the velocity and volume of what can be learned later in life. We cannot continue developing learners who can barely read or write. Hindi ito pasaload na bahala na ang susunod na grado na ayusin ang kakulangan ng pinagmulan. I'm happy that while we await the congressional rewrite of the procurement law, the DepEd has awarded projects worth 11.7 billion pesos. We should accelerate the building of more classrooms, laboratories, and schools. Despite institutional bottlenecks not of your making, the DepEd has already built and repaired thousands of classrooms this year. And I look forward to seeing more of these this year and in the years ahead. As you build and repair these classrooms, let us be mindful. Storms and earthquakes are not getting any less frequent, and neither are they getting any weaker. That is why we're putting more emphasis on the quality of the schools that we build. Nagbabago na ang panahon, kaya kailangan na natin magbago ang ating pamamaraan ng konstruksyon, hindi lamang sa mga paaralan, kung hindi sa lahat ng proyektong infrastruktura. And for this, I would like to mention and thank and make a special mention of the World Bank and the ADB for their aid in boosting our schools' resilience to disasters. But it is not only in buildings that we must carry the do not delay signs. Books, furniture, other pedagogical tools must be stickered with please expedite reminders. I am glad that amidst all the current barriers and shortcomings, the DepEd has filled its shopping cart with ICT equipment such as computers, laptops, Wi-Fi services. The road to the future is rendered in Digimap. One of the guides there calls for Wi-Fi services to expand beyond the present 7 in 10 schools. We must do this. Doon sa mga nagdududa, ang babala nila baka madaming classrooms, baka hindi kaya ng budget. My standard response to those who clip our wings with their fears is, we use the mandate of the people to achieve the grand, not to waste it on the petty. We go big or we go home. Apart from the textbooks procured by the DepEd for our learners, I hope books for the blind and other assistive equipment for our children with special needs are also in the pipeline. We cannot mainstream those in the margins if resources for them are minuscule. Sa usaping ito, Gusto ko rin kayong papurihan sa mga non-traditional programs tulad ng alternative learning system classes targeted for the old because learning, like love, has no best before date. There are other bold but bespoke programs worth commending for indigenous peoples, for farm schools, for Muslim children, just to name a few. In the end, the reforms that we envision for our educational system should be showcased in our classrooms. The gist of which is this: a learner with books on the table, a well-trained, highly motivated, well-paid teacher in front of them, teaching a curriculum carefully curated to their needs. At sa gitna nito, ang sentro ng ating pagsisikap, isang batang natututo. To those who are hungry, we will provide meals because one cannot feed the mind if the stomach is grumbling. Our school-based feeding program should have beneficiaries carefully chosen, supplies locally sourced as much as possible, complemented by similar nutrition programs by other agencies in accordance with the National Nutrition Program. To ensure our students' and teachers' health, we urge the DOH to work with the DepEd by strengthening health centers to support the network of school-based health facilities and dental clinics. Every school will steadfastly stand as a no-bully zone, a sanctuary for diversity, a resource center for teens, a psychosocial first aid center, a mental health nurturer, a bulwark against the drug menace, a safe space for all, and most important, a safe space for our children. To those who cross these lines, a layer of tripwires catches them: the Learners' Rights and Protection Office, Telesafe's hotline, and the Children Protection Committees. But through the ages, there has been one unvarnished truth in education: teachers occupy the core of learning. They should be at the center of our great reform movement. In fact, when the K-12 was up for review, the teachers on the ground were the first to be asked for their feedback. They willingly gave theirs, not because they are against change, but because they want change to succeed. And when it comes to reforms, they are not more passive recipients of alienated implementers. They are much more than that. Teachers are incubators of ideas. Teachers are innovators. So as we move forward, let us keep the teachers as the linchpin of a national standard for learning competencies. You will be the tip of the spear as we modernize systems assessments under the Project for Learning Upgrade Support, or PLUS. Those who teach must continually train, and we will roll out those programs to upskill competencies, drawn from experiences and tested best practices. We are cognizant that VP Sara and the whole of the DepEd family are pulling out all the stops for the betterment of our basic education by focusing on ensuring teachers' teaching, quality, competency, and well-being, improving our learners' capacities and nutrition, building better, more facilities to aid both teaching and learning. These goals will be hard to meet, as are all great endeavors. But I believe that we will get there with all that you have done thus far and with all that you will accomplish moving forward. We are one in our dream to build a bagong Pilipinas, where we enjoy the opportunities of a modern, vibrant, and peaceful country. This can be fully realized if we continue transforming our educational system for the sake of our beloved children. I thus call on everyone to join us in this daunting but extremely rewarding endeavor under Bagong Pilipinas, marked by a matatag educational system that paves the way for a more empowered, secure, and progressive future.
You just heard Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang in Review. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, This is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.